corroding, exposing harmful chemicals to the environment. This represents 2,500 tons of batteries that are disposed of in our landfills every year, eventually corroding and exposing harmful chemicals to the environment. The effects of batteries on our environment is startling. One AAA battery pollutes 500 liters of water and 1 cubic meter of land for 50 years. If all the disposable batteries in Europe were replaced with rechargeable batteries, it would equate to a saving of 5 billion kilometers driven by a car. With this in mind, Uniros have embarked on a recycling initiative to cope with the 50 million batteries thrown away by South Africans on an annual basis.
The initiative was prompted because we went and did an environmental impact study on the effects of disposable batteries and rechargeable batteries on the environment. And the results of that survey came back to say, look, batteries as such are landing up in our landfill sites, and I mean South Africa just by itself is going through 90 million batteries a year, and there is no recycling centre set up for batteries. These batteries are landing up in our landfill sites and they are polluting groundwater, they are polluting the soil, and I mean these impacts are felt in the environment today right throughout the world. Yet South Africa, we do nothing about it. So as a rechargeable battery company, we said, look, it is our responsibility to stand up. We don't have the volumes in South Africa yet to establish a recycling plant in South Africa, but because of our global presence, we have an ability to be able to collect the batteries in South Africa, sort them in South Africa, and then through different mechanisms get them into a recycling plant. There's recycling plants in Europe, there are recycling plants in the United States, but we've got to start somewhere, and this is the initiative that we've started by approaching the major retailers and saying, look, the challenge is really to get collection sites, to get the educational message out to the consumer, and to start explaining to the consumers to why they need to dispose of the batteries, and number one, make certain that it's easy for the consumer to dispose of the batteries, and this is the initiative that we've started in South Africa. You would obviously just purchase a battery, you'd go home, you'd use it, it gets to end of life. Now there's two solutions here. Number one is the first is to convert people from using disposable batteries to rechargeable, because you've got a significant difference in terms of the life cycle. A rechargeable battery you can reuse 500 to 1,000 times. So if you consider that people are buying disposable batteries and after the one usage it's ready to be disposed of. If you convert it to rechargeable, you would be able to use 500 times to 1,000 times, and then it starts to get into where it needs to be disposed. So let's assume it gets to the end of its life and you need to dispose of the battery. You would go into a retailer. We've got some great initiatives with some of the big retailers like Pick n Pay, Macro, Builders Warehouse, etc., where we actually have recycle bins in the stores. You would take your battery, pop it into the recycle bin, and that's it from your side of things. We then go store by store on a frequent basis. We uplift the batteries. We don't really worry if they rechargeable batteries. We don't worry about the chemistry. We just literally we're saying to the consumer, dispose of your batteries in a safe and a responsible manner. Leave it to us, and we will then sort through the chemistries. They all come back to our factory. We've then got a production line that we just throw all the chemistries onto a production line. We've got operators who sort through the chemistries, and they will take out the various chemistries in terms of they will sort a lithium battery to an alkaline battery to a rechargeable battery, etc., etc. From there, once they've been sorted, we then once we've got, let's say, alkaline batteries and we've got rechargeable batteries, the rechargeable batteries are then placed into various containers, put into a 20-foot or a 40-foot container. That is then shipped back to France, where there is a recycling centre. The alkaline batteries, unfortunately, the yield from disposable batteries is, in terms of recycling, the yield is not high enough to justify the cost of recycling. But still, we need to dispose of them in a safe way. So we do that in South Africa, where we concrete block them. We use an environmental company such as WasteTech or EnviroServe or one of those companies, where we then concrete block the product, and then the product is obviously lands back up in the landfill sites, but at least it's in a safe and responsible way. 10 years ago, a lot of batteries had mercury in them. Now there's legislation to say mercury cannot exist in the product, yet there is still trace elements of mercury in disposable batteries. So we need to be careful about this, because mercury is a very, very hazardous substance to the environment. So that's one of the biggest negatives in terms of chemistries. When we talk about rechargeable, rechargeable batteries of sort of the bygone era used to be nickel cadmium. Now it's the cadmium, which is a problem because it doesn't biodegrade, and that lands back up into the earth. And again, it's another hazardous substance. So if you had to get down to the scientific explanation of each chemistry, virtually every battery has some form of chemical that is a problem. And this is what we're trying to avoid. We just, there's out of a rechargeable battery, there's probably a 75% recyclable yield, which is a very, very high yield. So when you consider that, we say to the people, look, today you might be using disposable batteries. Let's stop that. Let's convert to rechargeable. We've reduced the problem by 1,000th. Because effectively one rechargeable battery replaces 1,000 disposables. So that's the first step. Second step is when it gets to end of life, let's get it back into a recycling center, and we would get a 75% yield out of a rechargeable battery. So ideal world, that's what we're aiming for. We're realistic about it. The uptake is slow, but it's really just a matter of educating consumers as to the little part they can do with something that people don't really focus on. Batteries just... People say, well, reduce flying, reduce traveling in a motor car. These are significant differences to the environment, but they don't think about batteries, which exist in everyday life, as something that you can do to benefit the environment.
The world's first biodegradable battery, manufactured by Uniros, has been endorsed by the World Wildlife Fund.
We've called it name Hybrio because it's a hybrid battery that's biodegradable. But effectively, it's an environmentally friendly cell. For a variety of reasons. But yes, it is, and this is why the product carries the endorsement of WWF, which is a global partner for us, because of our commitment to find sustainable energy solutions. And I know that our R&D team at the moment, we saw some information a couple of weeks ago that we're working on water batteries, and really some fantastic things. We've got a wind battery charger now that literally you can charge up your batteries on wind energy, which is again clean energy. So there's some fantastic things in terms of the environmental endeavours to try and find sustainable energy. We have been pleasantly surprised by the launch of the battery recycling. We put 350 recycle bins into the Pick and Pay stores. Some of them are totally empty. We must admit some of them are totally empty, but some of them are full. So various areas, various initiatives are starting to make an impact, and I think South Africa can lead in this endeavour.